Hi, my name is Mark and today I'd like to show you a game called Tenby. I got Tenby from Mighty Boards, thanks for giving it for review. Tenby is a very hot game because it was sold out on Spiel Essen last year, it was sold out on UK Game Expo this year as well. And this is a card game in which you will try to create the most beautiful town. You will create different streets from cards taken from the market. Different type of cards, different options to score points. It's a game for 1 to 5 players. Of course, it can be played solo as well. In a second, I will show you how the game plays and then I will tell you what I think about Tenby. This is how Tenby looks like when it's prepared for play. First, I will talk about the multiplayer mode and then I will tell you how to play the game solo. On the left, you can see the market with 3 types of cards. We have the terrace cards, pure cards and landmark cards. And those are the cards that you'll be able to take from the table, perform actions and then add to your beautiful streets of the city, of the town of Tenby that you will create in the game. The number of cards here is determined by the number of players. I will not talk about the setup. This is something you can read in the rulebook. Here we have some plain and terrace cards and plain and pure cards that you will be also able to take. You have some life ring tokens that you will be able to use in the game to perform some additional actions. We have some resident cards, which are basically goal cards that each player will be able to have. You start the game with 1, you will be able to get more, and those are the cards that give you additional points at the end of the game if you complete the goals written on those cards. We have the night cards that basically tell the order of the game, of each round of the game. And here, of course, we have the round tracker. The game plays over 10 rounds. After 10 rounds, you will calculate the score and determine who is the winner. And we have day cards. And day cards are very important because they basically show you what actions you will be able to perform. There is this deck of day cards, and always you take as many as number of players plus 1, and players will choose those cards in the first phase of each round. And here we have some additional cards on the right, but I will talk about them a little later. Those 2 decks are used for solo, and this is the accolade cards, which can be used as an additional variant in the game. As I said, the game... and as player, of course, because you also have the player area at the bottom, the player area should be a little bigger, but you know, I want to fit everything in the frame of the camera. As a player, you will get a player 8 card, which show you what you can do with life ring tokens. You have overview of the round. You get a starting card with the first building that you will use in your street, and you have a player token of the same color. You also start the game with 1 resident card. You will get 2, you will pick 1, and the other will be discarded at the bottom of this deck. And each round is played over 3 phases. We have the night phase, we have the day phase, and we have the cleanup phase. In the night phase, in the order shown here, from left to right, you have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if you play with up to 5 players. The player with the first card here picks 1 of the day cards displayed below. So if I'm the green player, I can choose any of the day cards shown here. They have the numbers. They are always arranged in the ascending order, so here we have 4, 12 and 13. And basically in the game, if you choose the cards with the lower numbers, you will perform your actions first in each round. If you perform the cards with the higher numbers, you will be able to do better actions and acquire better cards from the market, but you will perform your actions later in each round. And the order changes with each round. So for example, if I choose this card, I will be able to perform 2 terrace action and I will get 1 life ring token. If I choose, for example, this card, I will be able to perform 1 pure action, 1 landmark action, and I will get 1 life ring token. So it's up to me to decide. Let's say that I will choose this card with number 4. And then the other player will choose another card, let's say this one. And now from left to right, each player performs all the action from the chosen day card, and then the next player will perform all the actions. Always 1 card will be left I will tell you what to do with this card when I will talk about the cleanup phase of each round. So let's say it is my turn and I can perform two terrace actions, and I will get one life ring token. So this is my life ring token, and I can perform two terrace actions. Terrace actions means that I can take two cards from these terrace cards that are in the display. I can always take a card from here, I can always take a card from the top of the deck, and I always can forfeit my action and take one life ring token. The thing is that the cards in the market here are not replenished after my my turn. So the later you play in the round, the less choice you have here, and you will have to take cards blindly from this deck. There are also those plain and terrace cards that are like here. There are 6 of them. They are the same, and they are basically cards that you can add to your town. And they are like this border between the pier, you have the water here, and the city, the town that is with these buildings. If I choose a card, I can add it to my street. Let's say that this is my street. I have only one building here. And when I take a card, I can add it either to the left side or to the right side of other cards in my street. I cannot add a card in between. Let's say if those are my 2 cards and I take another one, I cannot add it in between those cards. I always have to add cards to the left or to the right. The other rule when adding cards is that they must make sense. For example, if I have this card in my city, I cannot add this card to the left part, to the left side, because here I have water and I don't have water on this card. So when you add cards to your streets, they must make sense. So this card can be added here, but it cannot be added here. I cannot take this pier card and add it to my city because, here is water and here is the street, so they doesn't connect with each other. But if I, for example, would have this card in my city, I can add this card here. So you have to connect those cards so they make sense. So water connects with water and street connects with streets, and you have those cards that change water and street. There are this like border here. Some cards, like this one here, they have this icon here, and this means that this is the end of the street. The end can be on the left side or it can be on the right side. And in the game you should try to complete street, so they have the beginning and they have the end, because when you have those resident cards and they give you points for doing specific things and you score for those cards, at the end of the game you will get different points depending if the street is finished or not. A finished street is a street that has end, beginning and the end. If it doesn't, you will get less points. The key thing in this game is that basically the pier cards are a little better than the terrace cards, and the landmark cards are better than those 2 types of cards. And anytime if you can perform, for example, a landmark action, you can always take the other cards as well. So instead of a landmark action, I can take a pier card or I can take a terrace card. And the same goes for pier. If I have this card and this allows me to take the pier action, I can take a pier card, but I can also take a terrace card. And I can always forfeit an action and take this lifeboat token. So basically this is the goal of the game. Try to take those cards, try to add them to your street to score as many points. As you can see, those cards, they have some additional scoring options. At the end of the game, you will score for those resident cards, the one you start the game with, and other cards that you will acquire during the game, but also for the scoring conditions on those cards that are in your street. For example, this gives you 3 points for each porch to the left, 2 cards, up to 2 cards on the left and up to 2 cards on the right. This gives you 3 points for each green building on the left and green building on the right. This one gives you 3 points for each bench that is on the left card and each bench that is on the right card. And this is how it goes. For example, they give you points for seagulls, for clouds, for a lot of different things. And you try to arrange those cards in your streets in the best way you can to score as many points as you can. You can always start a new street because this is the first card, then you will add the cards here to your street. But if you don't want to continue one street, you can start creating another street. There is no limits in streets that you will create in the game, and also one street doesn't have a limit of cards it can contain. But of course, the goal of the game is to try to create streets that have beginning and the end, and it's not wise to create 20 streets and each contains just one card. So you have to think about this. The only difference is with landmark cards, each street can only have one landmark card in it. Those cards are quite powerful because they score for specific symbols. For example, this scores for businesses. Those are specific type of cards in the whole street that this landmark card is on. Because normally those cards only give you points for adjacent and up to 2 adjacent cards on the left or right, and landmark cards, they give you points for the whole street. I also talked about this life ring tokens. What can you do with them? You have a huge this card that shows you the options here. You can spend 1 life ring token to add 1 additional card to the market. You can spend 2 of them to perform a terrace action apart from the icons on your action card, or you can move 1 card to a different place in your town, and this is the only way to move cards. If you spend 2 Libot tokens, you can move 1 card to a different spot. Okay, of course you need to follow all the placement rules. You can free spend of them to get free additional pier action, and you can take 1 pier card, and also you can spend 4 to get a landmark or to get a resident card. Anytime you get a resident card, you take 2, choose 1, and you put the remaining 1 at the bottom of the deck. And this is basically how you play Tenby. You play for 10 rounds. At the end of the day phase, when all players have finished their actions, you will place those tokens in the order here as they were on the day card. Those cards used will be discarded. The one left will get 1 life ring token, and whoever chooses this card in the next round will get the life ring token as well. Then you replenish those cards here with new day cards, arrange them in the ascending order, and you continue playing the game. The other important thing is that what I said before, the market cards, they don't replenish after you take something from the market. You can only replenish them by spending lifeboat tokens and adding cards to the market. But you can always remember take cards blindly from those decks as well. Another variant in this game is the Accolade variant, and those are some additional gore cards. There are different ways to use them. The basic one is that you will set 3 of those cards face up during setup of the game, and they give you points if you are the best player here. You have most completed streets in any town, or you have most piers in any town, most homes in any town. So those are the additional goals where each player can score at the end of the game. The players who's got most of the things shown on those cards will get the points. In case of a tie, the winning players will share those points between them. And now is of course the solo mode. The solo mode is not complete, but there are different ways to play the game. The basic mode of the game is you don't have any automa, you don't have any opponent. You will try to beat your own score, and you will try to get as many points as you can. In the rulebook for the solo, you have here this sheet that tells you what is your achievement depending on how many points you have got. In the solo mode, you don't use the night card, you don't use the day card. At the start of each round, you have this compass deck. You will reveal 2 of those cards, and they also have numbers. You will choose 1 of those cards. In the solo mode, you have different actions that you can do for your lifeboat tokens. You can spend 1 lifeboat token to add the additional compass cards to those 2 that were revealed at the beginning of the round. You choose one and you hope for the best. Then you have this other deck, that is the anchor deck, and you will reveal the top card. And this is the card for your opponent. If your number is lower, you will do your actions first. If this anchor card has the same or lower number, the game will remove specific market cards from the market as shown here. So if this card will be the first one for the round, the game will remove this card here, this card here, and this card here. So you will have less cards to choose from when it's your round. You can also spend 1 lifeboat token to lower the value of this compass card, so you perform your actions before the anchor card. The main difference is also in solo mode is that when you play solo, if you perform your actions first and then there was this anchor card and the anchor card told you to remove specific cards in the market and those cards are not available anymore, you will take the cards that are missing from the top of the deck to your play area face down and you will get negative points for them at the end of the game, -1, -2 and -4 for each of those cards. So even though in solo mode, if you perform your actions sooner than your opponent, you will still have to think about the market and what card automa or the opponent, the game, wants to remove, because if they are not available, you will score negative points. You can also use the accolades for the solo mode. You can use some, let me show you, scenarios that give you specific setup. You can also play alternative solo option where you don't use the anchor cards and you only use compass cards, but they don't replenish at the end of the round. There are different ways to play the game, but basically when you play solo, you have to beat your own score. You need to try to score as many points as you can. You will choose a compass card, then you will reveal an anchor card and you will perform your actions. As for the accolades, you can use them in the solo mode as well, because you are the only player, you don't compete with anyone, but each of those cards has this number here, and in the solo mode, if you use accolade cards, you will score those points only when you have the number of those things in your town. If you have them, you will score those points shown of those accolade cards. And this is basically how you play Tenby. Let me tell you what I think about this game. So you know how to play Tenby and what are the pros and cons of this game. The first pro for me is that this game is very charming. I know that it's hard to measure charming, but it is. It's like a cozy, charming game. It looks nice, it looks beautiful, it's very positive with all the, you know, clouds with smiles and the sun and everything. It's relaxing. It's a relaxing game. When I play Tenby, it's a relaxing time for me, and it's a pro for me. The second thing that I like is that the rules are very simple. The game gives you a lot of decisions to make, but the rules are simple. The rulebook is not that simple, it's quite thick, I think 20 pages or something. But basically, because there are different variants of the game and the rulebook explains everything very, in a lot of details. But the basic rules are simple. You take cards, you add them to your street, add them in a way that everything visually makes sense, and you then try to score as many points as you can when the game ends. The game looks really nice. I know that this is a subjective opinion, but I like the look of the game, I like the artwork, I like the colorful houses and the seagulls, the clouds, all the elements. If you are more fan of photorealistic artwork, this is not for you, because it looks very childish, I would say, and cartoonish. But I like the look of the game, especially with all the colorful buildings. And when the game ends and you have all the streets in front of you, it looks really, really cool. The next thing I really like that there are different variants of this game. You can play 10 rounds, you can play 9 rounds, you can play the variant when in the 10th round you get additional cards. You can play with the resident cards face down or face up. You can add the acolytes scoring cards as well, so this is pretty fun. You can adjust the game to your, to your preferences. The solo mode has got different variants as well. You can play the basic solo mode, you can play the solo mode without the anchor card, you can play a solo mode where you have different scenarios. So this is pretty cool because all those changes are not very huge, but all those variants and options, they change the game enough to give you some variety. So this is pretty fun. And the last thing is that this is an enjoyable puzzle for me. And I know this is another thing that is hard to measure, but for me in this type of games where you collect cards or tiles or something and then you try to connect them together and score points, for me usually the most important thing is how pleasant the gameplay is, and Tenby is very pleasant to play, very relaxing, and I like it a lot. And this is a fun puzzle because even though the rules are very simple, it really there are a lot of decisions how to add cards to your town, if you should add a card to the street that already exists, or if you should start a new street, how to score points, what goals to choose to keep. So it's a fun puzzle. Some cons of this game. First one is that there's not that much player interaction. In a way it is, because you have this market and you share this market with other players, and if you are the last in the round, you have really less options in cards on the market to choose from. But basically each player builds her own town, by yourself, and you don't really know what other players are doing, because at the end of the game everyone has got a long street in front of them, and it's hard to track what other players are trying to do. You are focusing on your own town, on your own streets. If you like it, it's okay. If you like a very interactive games, it's really not that interactive. I mean, you don't share one huge city. Each player builds their own city. And the other thing is that I can imagine with 4 and 5 players, the game can be quite long, because it's not like you perform one action and then the next player performs one action. Each player performs all actions on the chosen day card, and if you have 3 or 4 actions and you have to choose 3 or 4 cards, it may take a while, because especially when the game ends, in the later rounds of the game, when you have already a lot of streets, a lot of cards in front of you, it's not so quickly to decide which card you want to take and where you want to add this card, and the next player must wait for you to finish the whole day cards that you have chosen. And if you 5 players, if for example in round 2 you are the first player and in round 3 you are the last player in this round, there are 8 players in between you in a 5-player game, because you are first, then 4 players, then the 4 players, and then you are the last in the next round. So 8 turns of other players. You can go to the kitchen, make a coffee, eat a sandwich, because it will take a lot of time. So I would say I would prefer this game with lower player count, 2, 3, or even solo. Overall, this is a very pleasant and fun game. As I said, there is a huge hype for this game. It's sold out on every convention. It's a relaxing game. It's a charming, cozy game. If you like those type of abstract games where you place different things and you try to create combos, you try to create connections, you try to score as many points as you can, I can definitely recommend Tenby. It plays solo really well. I have to say I love the solo mode here because it's quick, it's fast, I don't have to wait for other players, I can do my own things, I can create the town. It's a very relaxing time spent with this game. Different variants to choose from. The box is not huge, it's full of cards, no free space inside it. Really cool game. And the game is also language independent, because apart from the resident cards that have some text on them, most cards just has icons, so you can play this game even if it's English is not your language. If you get this game in English and you are from Poland like me, or if you want to play with kids that don't read English, it's a language independent basically game, and you can play with anyone. It's a really fun game. Let me know in the comments if you played Tenby, if you plan to get Tenby, if you heard about Tenby, the game, not the town, in Wales. Click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye!